Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining this launch webinar for the FSDC, realizing the potential of blockchain in advancing Hong Kong's financial services industry. Ever since the Hong Kong SAR Government made the landmark announcement of policy statements on the development of virtual assets in Hong Kong in October 2022, Hong Kong has taken the center stage in the global virtual asset industry with a series of proactive regulatory policies and initiatives from the SFC and the Hong Kong MA. The Chief Executive also unveiled in his 2023 policy address that the government would launch over 100 digital initiatives from 2024 to 2025 to promote the development of digital government and the smart city development. One notable example highlighted by the government is the adoption of blockchain technology for the electronic issuance and verification of certain licenses and certificates. With these exciting developments, the FSDC has formed a dedicated working group comprising industry experts to explore the significant potential of blockchain technology in forging Hong Kong into a global digital finance hub. We're very grateful to our working group leaders and members for their valuable contribution to the paper. I'm delighted to have the working group co-leader, Peter Yan from Cyberport, and two of the working group members, Evan Ariam at Animoca Brands and William G from PwC as our panel speakers this afternoon. Without further ado, let me pass the time to Peter to take us through the paper's recommendations. Peter, please.
Thank you. Welcome again, everybody, to the FSDC Industry Exchange series on blockchain. The launch of this report is really exciting, to the working group, and I'll start with a very brief introduction of the paper, and then we can move on to a panel for discussion and your questions are welcome. Now, as King mentioned, the Hong Kong government has embraced the development of virtual asset, which is a blockchain-based, application. As one of the leading international finance and fintech center, it is important that we take the lead in exploring this further to see how specifically there are things that we should do to enhance the development of the ecosystem, the industry, and also the talent pool in Hong Kong. So this paper is focused on analyzing the current situation, the landscape of blockchain, in Hong Kong so far, and make recommendations on various dimensions or aspects of what the government and industry may do in the coming months or years. So if I may move on to the first slide. As many of you are aware, the blockchain technology is quite promising and has a number of benefits to enhance the development of financial services applications. One of the key benefits would be enhancing transparency to improve the data access, efficiency, and also cost effectiveness. And there is, of course, a very important aspect to the whole development is the regulatory oversight of the whole development. And Hong Kong government has also taken a number of taken the lead in a number of initiatives to enhance the development in this area, specifically on tokenization of real world assets in a number of ways, including the tokenized green bond issue, the development of central bank digital currency, some pilot projects, and so on, initiated by the government and also regulatory organizations, including Hong Kong MA and so on. We have also other blockchain-enabled application already now being tested or developed under Sandboxes. For instance, Hong Kong MA's project on CBDC and virtual assets. There is also universal digital payment networks There is also implementation of the Xinhuo blockchain infrastructure, and there will be further development in the coming couple of weeks, which will be announced with the Xinhuo establishment in Hong Kong. So these are some of the things that we can see the government is taking initiative to spearhead the development in the blockchain area in the industry. And often we refer this also to the Web3 development. This, of course, can be further extended. In the paper, we have also included some of the way forwards in expanding opportunities for Hong Kong, with the government taking further leads in participating in blockchain as a utility service. We are also looking for potential further involvement of the government in enabling an orderly issuance of stable coins in Hong Kong. And one of the key things that the task force has discussed extensively is for Hong Kong to become a blockchain-enabled carbon trading center. So with the development of the carbon credit as one of the asset class to further develop this area to enhance and streamline verification processes using blockchain technology for carbon credits, and then further moving on to the exchange of carbon credits, which is also very much in line with the development of ESG and our carbon credit strategy in the coming years. In the paper, the key areas are, one of the key areas, put it this way, is the recommendation that we are making to the government or regulatory organization and the industry. There are namely three dimensions, you can say, of the recommendations. One aspect is related to the regulatory adaptation and oversight for technological readiness. And there is another aspect on the development of the ecosystem, with government spearheading some of the applications. And then there is the dimension of building capacity, for Hong Kong. Yeah. So let me start with the recommendation related to regulatory adaptation and oversight for technological readiness. In short, what we are recommending is that we should conduct industry consultation on the development of digitalization strategy and a roadmap. This is important so that people can anticipate and appreciate the importance of this and the coming potential development by various government agencies or regulatory organizations. Recommendation? Yes.
Now, I think the mic is not
okay. So, okay, I'll raise my voice a little bit. Yeah, I understand that the mic may not be picking up well. The second recommendation is the integration of integrating development and regulatory oversight of blockchain applications under the current established task force. In short, we are recommending the expanding of the task force responsibility, the current promoting Web3 development task force, to extend their mandate to also cover a more significant role in overseeing the development and regulatory needs for blockchain, for conducting periodic review, and also staying abreast of international best practices. Yeah, for the cultivating of a vibrant ecosystem, the task force is also making recommendation for government-led development in the digitization, making use of the blockchain technology to spearhead the development of the ecosystem. We have made recommendations, cite some example of potential opportunities, for example, in the digitization of land registry operations, the verification of cross boundary or cross discipline data and digital identities. These are applications that actually make a good use of the nature of blockchain technology itself. So these are the things that we believe that government, if they spearhead this development, will lead to further application, further development in related areas, making more use of the blockchain technology. Now, in the third dimension, in capacity building, we are also recommending raising public awareness and also the global profile of Hong Kong as the Hong Kong's blockchain ecosystem. There is a misconception often now have in the industry is that blockchain equals to crypto, but there are actually a number of different applications that the blockchain technology in the financial industry can further facilitate. So these needs more understanding and public awareness of what blockchain can do. So these are this is one of the key areas that we would like to see developing further. And then the last recommendation related to capacity building is to see how we can further attract and nurture talents in the blockchain area through education and through attraction of talents to come to Hong Kong, to make Hong Kong actually the regional center of excellence, for blockchain in developing, in cultivating talents. So in short, these are the key aspect of the paper that we are now launching today in the report. There will be more details, especially on many different use cases that we can understand better what blockchain can do, and some of the things like I mentioned just now on what further we can do through a government-led initiative and regulatory, authorities-led initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Yeah, I want to start this panel discussion by asking you this question. As you said, the growing interest and focus on Web3 and the underlying technology that's blockchain are really truly remarkable. With Cyberport being an incubation hub, right, could you provide insight as to how Hong Kong's blockchain adoption landscape has evolved, and also how blockchain has reshaped the competitive landscape of our financial services industry?
Sure. I think Sandbox is very fortunate to have the financial secretary in his budget last year, not this year, earmarking us as the Web3 hub of Hong Kong. This is, of course, in line with the government policy to embrace the development of virtual asset. And so, in the last year or so, we have been actively promoting Web3 in, you can say, 3 aspects. First of all, to cultivate talents, which is also, one of the key recommendations of the FSDC's report. The second aspect is industry development, and the third one is public awareness. All very much in line with the blockchain task force recommendation. In the past, specifically in the past year or so, we've seen the Web3 or blockchain-based companies at Cyberport, and also a reflection of the Hong Kong's whole Web3 community development or the landscape, is that we have increased from towards the end of 2022 around 90 companies in our community to over 220 at the end of last year. So you can see there's a significant increase in the number of blockchain companies. Actually, if we look at 2022 around September timeframe, the community is around 70-something companies. So if we compare to that over a 14 months period, we're talking about a threefold, increase, in the Web3 community, and this represents a significant increase in the number of blockchain talents, coming to Hong Kong or locally developed. And under the talent cultivation initiative that Sandbox has under Web3 Hub, we have built Web3 Academy, working with different universities and also major players in the Web3 world to establish different training courses, different development classes, workshops, and so on. And over the past year or so, we have over 3,500 participants in all these training. We have now established 6 series of training. So this is quite a significant change in landscape of the blockchain community in the past year or so.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Yeah. Now I want to turn to William. I know you have been advising a lot of regulators and corporates on their fintech adoption. So in terms of blockchain technology, there are success stories as well as less favorable attempts globally. So from your perspective, so what are the primary obstacles impeding blockchain adoption? How would public and private sectors draw valuable lessons from these experiences?
Thank you, King. First, let me say it's indeed a great pleasure to participate in this study. It's been a great learning experience for me as well. With all new technology, they follow a similar path to adoption. When it all began, apart from being, sometimes confusion, there's also misunderstanding, as Peter pointed out earlier, of what it is and what it can do. We do have expectation of all the benefits that it can bring, but realizing these expectations, it can be rather tricky. So as far as blockchain is concerned, even though it's been around for some time, it is still relatively new in terms of its commercial adoption. And certainly the current spotlight is perhaps somewhat focused on cryptocurrency, which is only one application of this particular technology. So if we look at the inhibitors to adoption, I would say obviously the skill set and knowledge that we have today, the high-profile failures in recent years, the volatility of blockchain-based asset, and also the lack of regulation, or in some cases over-regulation around the world on this particular topic. And so, going forward, I think, first of all, availability of blockchain utility is important to enable adoption. Equally important is the need to experiment for participants to obtain first-hand knowledge on what is possible, as well as the limitations of the technology. And so today is, we are very pleased to see the many regulatory sandboxes around, and these will be very valuable in advancing adoption of this technology. Private sector involvement in pilots not only enable participants to deepen their understanding of this new technology, but also to appreciate any prerequisites to successful adoption, as well as potential incentives beyond these simple airdrops to encourage real adoption and to realize the promised benefits and values that blockchain can bring.
Thanks. You mentioned the idea of sandboxes. We will cover that in more detail later. But now I want to turn to Evans. Now, Andy Morgan Brands is a world leader in the Web3 industry. But can you share with us in what ways the private and public sector stakeholders contributed to maintaining Hong Kong's status as a global financial hub? And also, is an understatement that synergy among government, regulatory bodies, and industry are important. What more can we do together to make Hong Kong into a Web3 hub?
Yeah, I think thanks. So we're just at the start right now. At this point, Hong Kong obviously is a super credible financial hub. And it's just getting into Web3 right now, and the whole opportunity is still ahead of us, right? So the government and various entities, partnerships with the private sector is actually essential in doing that. It first started with the government's announcement that it is indeed wanting to get into Web3. And that was just right in the beginning of several high-profile problems of the industry at that time. But the government went on face and wanted to go after it, and for very good reasons, right? Because the traditional financial industry, needs to evolve over time, and a blockchain rail that makes the overall sector more effective is definitely important. So there is beyond that, there's proactive regulatory regime review. So SFC in regulating virtual assets, HKMA, even the customs right now in OTC, and also hand in hand with FSTB, ITB, etc. So everyone is involved and learning very quickly. The government also led the green bond tokenization mentioned earlier by Peter, looking at stablecoin, CBDC, tokenized deposits, etc. Right. The other one that's coming is STOs, which is a huge opportunity for Hong Kong, the securities token offering. Which obviously there are lots of assets that we can see that can be tokenized either in mainland China or elsewhere around Asia that this particular region in Hong Kong can lead, right? I can't emphasize enough that a role such as what Cyberport is taking as well as a leading Web3 hub that drew over 200 tenants, as Peter just talked about it, right? That builds the ecosystem is very, very important. There are native Web3 ecosystems and solutions, right? Such as public chains like L1s, L2s, games, decentralized IDs, etc. And there are also blockchain applications applied to real world economies like STOs at this point. So for Hong Kong, it's really at the intersection of both of these opportunities. So to me, the government really needs to ensure regulations and rule of law are consistent and supportive of industry development, do consultations, and get ahead of industry development if that's possible. Not overreact to noise. There will be anything new. There will be some problems, right? Over investments, volatility up and down, even things like JPEGs could happen. But don't overreact to noise, because at the end of the day, it's about how do we regulate and ensure protection while not getting that over reaction on certain problems that we can avoid as we go over time, right? As we invest in regulations over time, right? So various entities like Invest Hong Kong should also go after major conferences, bring native Web3 people to Hong Kong, build that ecosystem. Great to hear that consensus is coming to Hong Kong, and we can win back some of these conferences. Because at the end of the day, I'll end with saying that some of the most important innovations are actually happening on the side of the native Web3 ecosystem. So I talked about the public chains, the games, stuff that we do as Animoca as well, which we try to bring an ecosystem out on a worldwide basis. But Hong Kong seems to be, since the JPEG scandal, seems to be going a little bit towards more the real world applications. But I would emphasize that both are important because the fastest innovations are happening over the native side. It also underpins the philosophy of the whole industry and a piece of that evolving culture of what blockchain is ultimately about. So we have to embrace both real world assets tokenization and real world blockchain applications while embracing the native ecosystem build-outs, right? And opportunity, given what's happening in Hong Kong, being proactive, and given some other more reactive governments and what they're doing, it is really Hong Kong's opportunity to lose.
Thank you, Evan. Yeah, I can't agree with you more that we need to develop Web3 in multiple directions. So you mentioned about native adoption, such as real world asset tokenization. On that, I want to come back to William. So, RWAs, right, the real world assets tokenization, redefines the asset management sector and industry operations. So what are the potential benefits of tokenization for the financial services industry? and what other potential blockchain application that Hong Kong could consider?
Right. So RWA tokenization is being studied extensively by many firms and parties, as well as regulators. I think the main benefits can be down to three major aspects. One is efficiency and transparency. You are able to save money and time on matters like trade settlement, clearing, registration, documentation, even regulatory filing. And I think the most important part is through all that to shorten the turnaround time in trading activities, reducing the time between investment decision making and execution. So bringing benefits to all parties. The second main aspect of benefit is unlocking new revenue opportunities through the development of new financial products created by asset tokenization. And this potentially can boost the capital flow into our capital market, via enhanced participation from both institutional and retail investors. Now, the point about retail investor is providing, of course, the products are suitable for retail participation, of course. Increased retail participation, it implies investor groups that previously were not able to participate as a result of, because of size of capital required, of market lot sizes, minimum orders, cost, and so on, would be able to kind of participate and thereby benefiting, from the benefits. And lastly, the more efficient completion of complex transactions, enabling new type of, for example, collaterals by connecting on and off chain assets through this technology. So in short, real world asset tokenization has the potential to benefit or reinvent the financial services sector through agility, automation, through programmability, of the underlying components, and enhancing revenue growth. So to answer your second question, what are the potential blockchain applications can be considered? I think one of the area that we can look to blockchain is to enhance what I would call infrastructure components. And one of the most important area, I would say, involves digital identities and credentials. Now, identity is who you are, like I'm William G. Credentials is about what you can do and some other attributes, like I'm an accountant, for example. So if you can turn all that into a digital form, that will obviously enhance all the transactions, the trading aspects, the protocols, especially in the financial service sector. And for example, one of the areas that can potentially enhance is obviously the AML related protocols. And integration of these components with available and relevant international standards and protocols will also be most desirable given Hong Kong's position as a global financial center. So I would say some of the infrastructure elements, blockchain enabled components would be something that we can also work towards.
Oh, thank you so much, William. I think you brought up this very important reason why we're trying to focus on blockchain, because ultimately we want to become a digital financial hub, right? So infrastructure is very important in digital ID. This is something we are also currently looking at. So now, this is a new industry. So that was mentioned earlier, the importance of talent development. So Peter, again, going back to what you said earlier, you've done a lot of training, and exciting to see the growth in the number of companies. But more to the point, what makes Hong Kong attractive to these talents, and what are the upcoming initiatives that you think we should focus on?
Right. Yes. I think what's this is universal, to every cities or economies. For that place to attract talents, there must be good opportunities for development. So I think one of the key things we can see as a result of the Hong Kong government's or the financial secretary's announcement of the virtual asset policy statement, embracing that, is an immediate positive feeling of there's going to be more opportunities, in Hong Kong, and as a result, attracting, more talents to come over, either individually or their companies, coming over and bringing them over. So what we need to do, I think, is to continuously try out new potential applications to create more opportunities, and hence in the report we have made recommendation for the government and regulatory organization authorities to do more in creating new projects, in developing further. For Cyberport, as I mentioned, earlier, we have established Cyberport Academy to conduct proper talent development programs, working with universities and also some of the industry players. One of the very successful one recently is our collaboration with Polkadot, and established a Polkadot blockchain academy, at Cyberport, and very successful, with people graduating, certifying by Polkadot. We have also, been working with universities, poly universities, which offer, degree, programs on blockchain, and also the University of Science and Technology and other, potential collaborations with other universities also, coming. Going back to the point I made about developing or generating more opportunities, we are also under the Cyberport Academy creating a university partnership program so that we get undergraduates to also attend blockchain related courses and try to establish applications with blockchain application, with us funding them to try things out, and going overseas to different universities, overseas university, to attend intensive training courses related to blockchain and so on. We've also established internship program to let some of these students to work with blockchain companies, at Cyberport, so that they can actually get first-hand work experience, in the blockchain company's environment. In terms of generating more business opportunity, we have also established a proof of concept program earlier this year in January. We have so far received over 1,000 proposals, and we are in the process of vetting these proposals. This POC project is basically to encourage companies to adopt blockchain applications, and for each of these selected projects, we will be providing 150,000 Hong Kong dollars to facilitate, development in this area, so that people have more incentive to try things out. And as a result, we hope there will be more blockchain-related application being developed and creating more opportunities to attract companies and talents to come to Hong Kong, so that we can then develop ourselves into the center of excellence for blockchain.
That's very exciting, Peter. So it's quite a comprehensive approach. You mentioned partnering with overseas universities. On that note, I know, Evan, you actually recently have signed agreement with your counterpart in Saudi Arabia. Can you tell us a bit more about that, and also how you think Hong Kong companies can build these in the global network, and what are the benefits to Hong Kong?
Yeah, while Peter is very busy, developing Hong Kong, we are also very busy trying to establish relationships with various governments. We also work with, besides in Saudi Arabia, we also work with the Dubai government as well, and UAE, and also in Abu Dhabi as well. We also talk to FSA in Japan, et cetera. So it's very important because this is a global industry, right? Like finances, blockchain definitely is borderless. If you look at even our talent pool and many companies' talent pools, they're actually not based in a single location. Some prominent blockchain companies may not even have very much physical offices. So the whole network about where to find the talent and engaging in various sectors, understanding what's going on in the global industry is tremendously important. For NEOM in particular, which is the entity that we signed with, it's a government building the line, right, the famous line, which is a futuristic city. And what they're trying to do is to build a cognitive city, which is that to apply AI on the citizens' lives. So what it means is that it's trying to be predictive about the needs that you have. So a cognitive city means that it's beyond some smart city. It really means that there's a lot of data cranking going on to understand your needs, to understand future living, etc. But the key part where we came in when we were talking to them in the initial stages is that how are you going to govern that piece, the data piece of that cognitive city? Right now, as we know, data is quite centralized amongst the various data giants. The most valuable companies in the world are data giants. And they don't share the databases. It's not done in an open manner. But if you're a public sector, a party trying to build a new city, you have to ensure collaboration, right? So what might be interesting is to build a blockchain layer there, built on a public chain, but secured via trusted parties, right? That's the way that we talk about infrastructure. So in enabling that, you could imagine that, even private data, William mentioned that a little bit earlier as well. How do you govern data? How do you segregate sort of like government ID, a centralized ID with something that is like a more of a decentralized identifier where data is actually governed in a way that is private? Now, imagine that you could, let's say, contribute to pharmaceutical research by sharing your data, but you are shielded from identifiable information, right? And you get compensated for it. Now, that's what blockchain ultimately allows you to do. And it's a completely different paradigm that we believe public sector can take advantage of should the rule of law and regulations allow that, right? And that's the sort of partnership that we're trying to work with NEOM, given that is a futuristic city. It's starting from zero base, so we're trying to do some proof of concepts there. We believe Hong Kong can do similar, right? Hong Kong has more developed infrastructure, financial infrastructure, so it needs to be careful with aspects such as KYC, ML, CTF, all those things matter. That's why it's a credible domicile, actually incredible domicile. But at the same time, as it embraces innovation, it needs to experiment as well, right? So looking over to other countries and other cities for development, to understand what they're doing is very important. Likewise, private sector looking to establish overseas connections can also look at what they're doing around what its own company is doing. But this is a very global space, right? Just like the financial industry, as you look across the talent pools of the financial industry, it's very global and it's very mobile. Bankers, financiers, etc. They move from New York to London to Hong Kong to Tokyo, etc. Minus language barriers, it's a global town, much like blockchain is.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I've got the question that. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me? Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. Apology for that. Actually, I've got a question that's related to what Evan just said. So can Hong Kong be a super blockchain gateway between mainland China and the rest of the world? Now, given that all the exciting development that we've just talked about. Anyone right?
So maybe add to this point. I mentioned earlier just now that there will be further development with Xinhua chain. Yeah. I would like to also share with the audience that there will be further development on that. We have been working with Xinhua for the past year or so. And finally, we've agreed to have Xinhua establish an international node in Hong Kong as Cyberform. So that will be announced officially in the disconnector. Okay, so that will be announced officially in early April. So the second week of April, we will make that announcement. So this is a major development in Hong Kong, along the line of what King has just mentioned about Hong Kong being the super blockchain, gateway, and also echoing what William mentioned just now about setting up the enhancing our infrastructure, to support the development of blockchain, in this part of the world, and making Hong Kong the center of excellence, of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just supplement a little bit as well. If you look at Hong Kong overall as a city of innovation and talent, you would understand that it is going to be a gateway for mainland China to see Hong Kong as a sandbox in a way, and do its innovations in a way that then connect to the rest of the world, right? Just like the financial system is in Hong Kong, right? Whereas the RMB is not convertible on a capital account, Hong Kong dollar is, and it therefore became the capital base for China in terms of raising funds and internationalization. And same for blockchain, right? China has actually embraced blockchain for a long time. China does not allow cryptocurrencies because for the very reason of capital controls, that is understandable from the economy of how the economy is constructed in China. But it is very different in terms of looking at Hong Kong and where the currency is convertible, where the rule of law is based on common law system. So it will act as a gateway to China. And great to see that Cyberport is obviously leading the way in the semantics of these collaboration. More is to come. Again, I hope to see a more interconnected blockchain world between sort of like, amongst the various parties of what the global innovation, what the global innovators are doing in the native part of that, of the Web3 ecosystem, and how that connects to the real world assets, which is what Hong Kong is good at. And it is right now, Hong Kong is right now in the intersection of both. So it is really an important opportunity.
Yeah, I think King, on that point, I think interaction and connection is actually very important. We live in the physical world, and so the importance of being a connector or a hub requires us to pull and interconnect all the moving parts, the underlying ecosystem, the governance, and the protocol, not just at the technical level, but also on the operational level, then becomes very important. How to resolve, for example, currency translation, you cannot get away from that, and so you need to take a step back and look at what are the required components to really achieve interoperability and to become that hub, and to make sure that all the elements are there, present, in our enhanced ecosystem.
Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, on that note, I've got a very good question from our good friend Johan. Basically, sorry, he's asking, given Hong Kong being such a strong financial center, but can we apply blockchain solutions to trade finance and sustainability, greening the supply chain?
Yeah, well, that's basically a big opportunity, right?
Yeah.
One of the discussions we have with Neon as well is also about how do you create transparency over the supply chain via blockchain, because it's recorded is immutable. It is actually something that can be viewed by all parties. So all this stuff about greenwashing and all of that in terms of ESG, a lot of it can, I wouldn't say a lot of it, I'll just say that a big part of it can actually be solved by blockchain in terms of creating transparency for it. And also tokenizing carbon credits, et cetera. Obviously one of the recommendations in this report as well that talked about it is certainly a real world blockchain application that could be applied to Hong Kong. So supply chain, obviously Hong Kong being a trading hub, also in a very unique position as mentioned of applying this technology. So maybe one of the recommendations as well here could be that that could be explored by the logistic hub and the participants in Hong Kong.
Actually, in fact, Hong Kong is, going back to manufacturing, trying to develop ourselves into a logistic hub. So the use of blockchain is very important. I also understand that some banks in Hong Kong already have been using blockchain technology for SME financing, using revenue-based risk assessment rather than just balance sheet based. So, any comment on that? Yes.
Maybe to also supplement on that, I think if we look at this in relation to financial services in general, by enhancing the development of or the application of blockchain, in trade finance and also supply chain, I think one key effect would be, or impact would be, to actually enhance the liquidity, to release some of the funding. Now, I think a lot of like what you said, SMEs or even larger enterprises in the supply chain process, a lot of capital are being locked up. Yeah, because of the paperwork, because of the quite cumbersome processes that is required. With blockchain, I think this can be facilitated. One of the key benefits would be to enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of that, so that we can then release a lot of these capital, to the much needed supply chain expansion and development. One of the key development area, I would say now in Hong Kong, we are quite tight in capital for some of the construction-related projects and so on. If we can apply that, then certainly I think we can facilitate the flow of fund and do more projects. Yeah. So this is very much in line with our report's recommendation or suggestions.
And again, collaboration is key, because on matters like ESG, one of the I think limiting factor is that at the ESG subject matter level, some of the standards and the approach methodology are still evolving, and so on the one hand, you can say the technology, I can apply blockchain technology to it, but without having the subject matter aspects clarified, you still have that issue. So working with everybody, looking at what the technology can enable. I remember in the early days of ERP systems, many companies say, "Oh, this is a wonderful thing. I'll just adopt it." And you end up implementing something that doesn't quite fit. So you squeeze into your jacket, which doesn't quite fit you. And so in the end, the most successful organizations that implemented ERP systems were those that also took the step to enhance their business process. Likewise for blockchain, if you just adopt it and kind of like overlay on top of existing process and protocols, it may not give you or maximize the benefit for you. And so one thing to bear in mind is with technologies like blockchain, making everything transparent can also end up changing the business process, and in fact changing the competitive position within a particular field. And so having aware of that and being flexible enough and explore all the aspects will enable us to better kind of apply the technology to emerging new areas like ESG and others.
Yeah. Actually, on that note, I've got another question here. It's in a way related to the adoption of the technology, blockchain technology in the real economy. So it sounds really good on paper. There are a lot of good advantages. But in terms of adoption, what's the best way to educate the mass public and to provide the facilities for them to use the technology? I know, Evans, you mentioned about native adoption. So the gaming is definitely a lot of youngsters are doing, even adults, right? But so that's one part of the real economy. But what about the rest? How can we encourage adoption?
So let me try.
Yeah, please.
So because blockchain has been applied to different aspects, some areas you actually do need to make people aware. So for example, digital assets, blockchain-based digital assets. You have to make sure that people are aware of what they're investing in, understanding the risk and so on. That's only to be responsible. There are also other aspects that as the technology mature, you don't need to talk about, or it's not really necessary to talk about. So the example I would give is in the early days of public key infrastructure. People have to explain exactly what PKI is. But today, certificates are used, within, within your devices, and it becomes transparent to users, to end users, and so it may not be necessary for you to explain too much. Only that, well, it is there, and you can be sure that it works. And so, depending on what we are looking at, obviously for some of the more technology, related and financial related aspects, I think it is important to make people aware, of what this is and the implication. If we are talking about this new asset class, we need to understand, the potential risk, et cetera. If we adopt this in other kind of commercial contexts, say identity, it will be a different way of explanation. You may not need to go too deep, to the technology level, but more focus on what it is and how you can use it, for your benefit. So there are different things, to do depending on how you adopt it.
To add to that, I would like to highlight the things that we are now doing related to the work POC program that I mentioned earlier. That the whole intention of establishing that program is actually to create success stories. Yeah. So with more of these success cases established or adopted by enterprises, by organizations, financial institutions, whatever, people will, at least the business world, will be able to appreciate, better and understand how this can benefit them. Yeah, and from there, we will definitely be seeing more consumer related applications being used. For example, smart money. All parents would like to see, the money that they provide to their kids are used on specific purposes that they only earmark for that particular, usage through a sort of smart contract. So that's basically what blockchain technology can do. So money can be used for specific, dedicated, permitted purposes instead of a general currency or a vehicle for buying whatever the other party wants. Yeah. So these are some of the things that can very easily be used if we have the financial institutions establish Web3 wallets and so on, and then these applications will then definitely arise, and the general public will be more appreciative of this technology. But then I would say the path would be to let the business world first adopt it, and then this is what we are trying to do now under the POC program, the Web3 POC program, to encourage more companies to adopt blockchain applications, and then from there, there will be more to see application develop.
Yeah, I wish I had those smart money when my kids were young.
Yeah, I also think that, adoption comes in waves because, this is something new. On the consumer side, ultimately, if you look at a couple of years ago, creating a wallet, storing your private keys and all of that, it's very clunky. Nowadays, you have much easier sign-ons, right, on applications. So, and you have also on security, you have delegate wallets and things like that. So the space evolves very quickly. At that time, we were trying to acquire companies to build games. Now we find a lot of companies to partner with on advisory. They already know how to build games. Some games are already out there. We feel that ultimately gaming in terms of digital assets is something that's inevitable. Not necessarily NFTs in thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars, but a digital asset is a collectible that defines the right price level, and the token economy to sustain itself is a matter of time that finds a discovery, right? On the side of the real world blockchain applications, once you see it, you have it, right? So it'll be adopted. So stablecoin is an onboarding force, right? You have atomic settlement, you have 24/7 markets, tokenized assets. You can imagine that a lot of people are tokenizing bonds when it's already a security or tokenizing equity, ultimately because it's settled in a way that is maybe less efficient than a blockchain, right? So these are the infrastructure that's being built right now that will be adopted. And once you find liquidity into it, and there's a lot of capital looking for these investment opportunities, then you would see that adoption. So I'm not too worried about it. It's early days. Right now, sort of, I would say internet of 1995 or so. At that time, people say that they're libraries. Why do you need the internet, right? You can find information anywhere and talk to people. And why do you need in Web 2, why do you even need a cell phone, right? That has internet access. Like I remember people saying that I don't need a phone that has internet access. Now you can live without one.
That's very true. Yeah, sounds very exciting. Thanks for all the insights. Actually, on this note, I want to close the panel discussion by commenting, what we've been reading in the paper recently. Actually, Hong Kong has a very bright future. Look at the digital economy, the excitement that we've just talked about. We can carry on for another hour at least because there's so many different applications we can do with blockchain. I just want to conclude by saying that actually Hong Kong is designated to become a very successful digital asset hub with all the supports from the government, from the regulators, and in particular our industry participants. I want to thank everyone for joining our webinar, but before you go, please stay behind for a minute or two to finish our polling questions, which is just being posted on the screen. So please join me in thanking our panelists again. Thank you.